И если ты еще работаешь по найму, ты влачишь какое-то жалкое такое существование, там с копейки на копейку, ты живешь на уровне выживания, то добро пожаловать в мою группу Муза или в мой Инстаграм. Ты можешь смотреть в группе Муза короткие бесплатные видеоуроки, как создавать независимо от размера твоей заработной платы, как создавать себе продукты, белье, платья, косметику, обувь, верхнюю одежду, шубки, путешествия, красивые номера в отелях и вообще красивые квартиры съемные, там в подарок квартиры, машины и так далее.
Tsar Experience.
Привет, this is Odessa. Greetings, welcome to Odessa, Ukraine, and this clip I'm watching is not from a woman from Odessa, although this being scam central in the former Soviet Union. Rostov was the equivalent city in Russia. I don't think she's actually in Rostov, but that laugh, and as you saw the opening clip there, just the audacity of what she's looking for, amazing. So this woman is what is known as Baiguzhanka, and I'm going to be diving deep into this episode of the Volkas. It's going to be a little bit more lighthearted, at least this kind of special trained Russian gold digger, because they're just so audacious, especially in their video clips that they put on social media, that it's definitely worth watching them, at least for entertainment, as well as learning some valuable lessons about the kind of women that you definitely want to avoid on a trip to, whether it happens to be Russia, Ukraine, or Belarus. Welcome, this is the Tsar Experience, and in today's podcast I'm going to be reacting to a series of clips that I've seen online. Now I have to give a big shout out to Crazy Russian Adventures and Sasha there, because he actually drew my attention to the Baiguzhanki. And you're probably wondering, what kind of name is Baiguzhanki? Well, actually, there is a special guy, we'll call him special, called Denis Baiguzhan, and he actually has online training and for women who want to be effectively gold diggers. And in Russia, as you'll see, it's not like more in the West will take Anna Bay, who has School of Affluence, where they're a little bit more reserved, and they don't. She definitely doesn't want to be called a gold digger, even though that's exactly what she practices and believes in. She doesn't want to own the word gold digger. There's just that kind of stigma that the women like her feel. Like, she grew up in Sweden, and I did a video about reacting to her, and I will probably do another one very soon, so I'm going to link that above in the card and down below in the description if you've missed it. Now, ironically, Anna Bay was actually born in the Soviet Union, has a Russian mother, ethnic Russian mother. That's what she says in one of her videos. Since I actually made that first video, I didn't know that at the time, so it's kind of a little bit prescient that I pulled her up and did a video on her, because that mentality of not being embarrassed about being a gold digger is a lot more common in the former Soviet Union, countries like Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus, than it is in the West, where it's more frowned upon. Now, that's not to say that the majority of women in Ukraine or Russia or Belarus are gold diggers. I actually believe they're not at all, but being overtly a gold digger carries less social stigma, I would say, here than it does in the West, especially in Western Europe. So in today's video, I'm going to be diving in some of their hilarious clips that they have put online for us to enjoy. I think it's part of their marketing for the courses. This woman in particular is a student of Denis Baiguzhan. She's on the stage with him quite a bit. So there you can see the two of them on stage together. So actually that has become a term in Russian, Baiguzhanka, Baiguzhanki, in the plural, to describe them from his name. Well, that's definitely a way to have influence and impact, that you coin a new term. It's fortunately not got the best connotations, as you're going to see. And just before we dive into the clips, I'm going to say that whilst you probably don't think you're going to fall for a lot of the tactics here, it's like with all deception, you should also be aware of it, that everybody can caught up by things. And I am going to give you some more concrete examples of the behavior that a Baiguzhanka might try, that you might actually encounter even here in Odessa this summer if you were to come. It is rare that it's going to be this extreme, but I think it's still definitely worth noting and learning from. So let's dive into the first clip with a Baiguzhanka.
Я сейчас такая подъехала на заправку «Газпром», и у меня бензин уже совсем такой закончился. И я выхожу, одному говорю мужчине, говорю, мужчина, оплатите, я только проснулась и забыла кошелек.
Поверните направо, во двор, а затем поверните налево.
So the first thing, she didn't even manage to turn off the directors or GPS, so I missed that part. By the way, in this video, I'm putting subtitles there for you in post-production. I'm actually watching this without subtitles, so let's see how good my Russian is. Can I understand the Baiguzhanka exactly?
Очень сильно мне надо заправиться. Он такой, не-не-не, спешу, мне некогда. Захожу в само здание, где там рассчитываются, расплачиваются за бензин, да. Иду такая, где же паркануться-то, господи. В общем, такая, иду прямо на мужчину, и вот он на выход идет, а я зашла, и прям вплотную к нему подхожу. Мужчина, вы должны оплатить мою заправку.
So there she wants some free petrol. You can see the audacity. She doesn't know the guy, and this is what's interesting. Like I did that review video of Anna Bay, and she advocates that men should pay for everything. You should find just a rich man, and he should just provide with you. At least she's giving her time and a relationship of sorts. Now we'll go in a little bit deeper what kind of relationship that might be if it's primarily about money and what she's giving in return. And maybe she also gives them some status, like she looks pretty beside them or raises their status amongst their friends, or she fits in because she emphasizes being elegant in that. Here, Baiguzhanki, they go up to strangers and expect them to pay for their petrol in return for nothing at all, just the fact that they are women. They were entitled to this, the free petrol from random dudes. Oh, the chutzpah.
Надо Белгород уехать, 2000 надо на бензин. Дайте, пожалуйста, выручите.
Я таксист, я тоже...
Ну, хоть сколько.
Ну, 500 рублей дайте хоть на 10 литров. 500 рублей.
Мы так будем
Только что
благодарны.
выехал, извини, девушка, только что выехал.
Ну, ладно.
Ну, ладно, свободно.
She's so rude when she doesn't get her way. I mean, of course, you should want to just sponsor her tank of petrol for her and her girlfriend.
Идет такой мужчина, ну вроде бы симпатичный на вид такой, да, и мы говорим, мужчина, выручите, дайте нам 2000 рублей, а он такой, нету денег, я говорю, что даже 500 рублей нету, он говорит, нету нисколько, я говорю, отойдите, закрыла дверь, заблокировала, фукака, жадный мужчина, фукака.
They're actually funny, right? Because there's the audacity, the bizarreness of expecting the guy to have to justify why he doesn't want to give them his money to pay. Just two random strange women desperately begging for him for money, not offering him anything, accusing him of not being a man. I guess is part of the strategy here if he doesn't just pay for their petrol. Crazy stuff. They seem to be near, I think it's in Belgorod. If I remember, that's a city in Russia just near the border with Ukraine on the other side from Kharkiv. So pretty close to Ukraine, but yeah, crazy stuff. Let's see what else they get up to.
Как создать пакет продуктов? Если на улице дождик, и ты такая зашла в магазин, набрала, что ты хочешь там сегодня, свежий батончик, там салатики, ну что хочешь, в общем, набрала. Потом подходишь на кассу, и если там впереди или сзади тебя стоит мужчина, говоришь, мужчина, сегодня вот дождик идет, а я забыла кошелечек, оплатите, пожалуйста, мои продукты. И улыбаешься. Вот,
да,
и мужчина, деваться ему некуда, он, разумеется, оплачивает. Вот, это к тому, как выйти из магазина, сходить в магазин и не потратить денежки, и выйти с продуктами и со сдачей.
Oh, that laugh again. So there she's basically gone and manipulated some random guy into paying for her shopping for her groceries, right? Wow, just a chutzpah. But it's like a lot of tricksters will say, or people who are disingenuous beggars. I may understand someone is actually starving to death on the street, that you might need to want to beg for money if you have no choice and there's no social service that might help you with that. But here we have an example of just doing it disingenuously. So yeah, so she basically she claims she's got a wallet, tries to pull on the heartstrings of, I mean, a lot of beggars do that. We know when we travel to anywhere in the world, often as a tourist, that you're targeted by people begging, especially if it's a poorer country than maybe in the West. The standard of living is low, then you have a lot of people who will beg and they will say, hey, I'm hungry and I have some disformity or have some disability, give me money, and then afterwards you see them maybe come off their crutches and walking without them later. You have all those kind of scammers, not necessarily only in the West. I mean, you have also begging in the United States quite a lot, and a lot of them unfortunately not very genuine. They play on people's emotions to try and help someone in need, and here she's just claiming that she's really got a wallet and she has no money, and yeah, could you help just pay for my groceries? Just a small bit, man. Just pay for her groceries, right? What's the big deal? Let's go into the next one. She actually elaborates on how this, I would say, scam, because she's been deceptive basically at this stage. But yeah, imagine this is taught.
Как-то быстро разговорила молодого человека, и он все-таки согласился оплатить мой пакет продуктов. Или
да.
вот какие ошибки я совершала?
Вы не совершали никаких ошибок, просто вы подходили неуверенно и не говорили мужчинам комплименты. Я беру от мужчин все. Я не отказываюсь.
Oh, that laugh again. That laugh. It's gonna give me nightmares.
Мы провели эксперимент и дважды, ну сколько, минут за 10, за 15 дважды создали от мужчин продукты. Вот. Просто мне уже немножко неинтересно это делать. Вот. А вообще, если вы живете на зарплату, если ваша зарплата 30, 50, там, 70 тысяч рублей до 100 тысяч рублей, то вы легко можете выходить и создавать на 2-3 тысячи продуктов в день, да, а 2-3 тысячи в день это в месяц 90 тысяч рублей, да, 3 тысячи в день, в месяц это 90 тысяч рублей. Это больше, чем ваша зарплата. Вы можете хорошо кушать и хорошо себя при этом чувствовать.
Умно.
Вот, и знакомиться еще при этом с достойными мужчинами, которые счастливы вам помочь. И вы видели, да, что они с радостью оставляют телефоны и готовы вечером идти вместе пить кофе.
So I should have said what this woman's name is. It's actually Yelena Filatovich, to expose her. Not that she is hiding all this, as it's on her own YouTube channel. But there you see, she has it down to a fine art. She can actually basically say you can live off this. Why go to work? You can make as much money in terms of value, getting guys to pay, getting men to pay for your groceries. You can actually get groceries that are of value higher than a salary. Obviously, she's targeting women. It seems that are on the lower spectrum in terms of socioeconomic scale, which makes sense. In terms of they would obviously benefit marginally more than women already have their own money by doing this. Not sure they would actually be able to pay her or Dennis Bayguzhan for the advice or not. But anyways, this is what she has on her free stuff on YouTube. Seems to have shot it portrait mode, so I guess it was also on something like Instagram probably, or another social media platform. And she has it, if you do this every day, basically you can have the equivalent of a salary just from begging. So that's what it is so far. It just seems to be begging, targeting men. It's obviously a bit pathetic, but she seems to be making a career out of it. So this is obviously not very inspiring from Yelena. I mean, basically she's a glorified beggar. And she's telling women basically how you can beg from men. And they give nothing in return. So I guess there's no risk of you having your emotions hurt by a woman like this. Just probably you feel foolish if you found out afterwards that she does this every day. It wasn't a real emergency. Basically, it's effectively a scam. But, what can I say? She actually teaches this stuff. So she makes a business out of teaching girls this, other women this, and so does Dennis Bayguzhan. Now, this is just the first part of it. This is the stuff that I think they do for marketing to get attention because it's so extreme. But it's not actually the whole of what they're teaching when I see, and I'll just dive into that in a sec. First, I have another similar woman, and this is also worth noting, and then I'll let it rip.
Мы будем кататься на лимузине, мы будем в ресторане «Русский» на 84-м этаже. Я очень хочу. Если ты хочешь, чтобы я была в хорошем настроении, общалась с тобой и так далее, дай мне 300 тысяч.
That's so funny. Basically, if you want me to be in a good mood, not only if you spot me, pay me $140 basically, 10,000 Russian rubles, in order for me to be in a good mood. There, it's someone obviously who's trading their time for money, and it doesn't appear to be prostitution. She's not claiming she's going to sleep with the guy, just that basically he has to pay to have her around. If that's open and transparent, and also you want her to be in particularly good mood and enthusiastic on your date, then I guess you're paying her. So it's kind of like a business. I just thought that was something that I do hear a lot in terms of some Russian, Ukrainian, Belarusian gold diggers type. They often refer to something a little bit similar, which is, do you want to make me happy? Right? So basically, are you willing to buy me presents? Maybe they don't want the cash directly, but well, they probably wouldn't refuse it if you were to give it to them. But do you want to make me happy? Of course, we know, we've all been children, seen children, and maybe already had children, and we know if you give a child something it wants all the time, it will simply just demand more next time. This is exactly what a byguzhanka is. They are like small children, except for they're big and they have boobs, and they are very good at getting stuff out of guys, clearly. But I guess if it's transparent, like it seemed like you have to pay me and it's up front for my time, then that's fine. So now that you are forewarned, which makes you forearmed, as the expression goes in English, if you spot a byguzhanka standing outside a supermarket claiming you that she forgot a wallet and it's raining outside and she doesn't want to go home, you know where to tell her where to go. And if it's at a petrol station, I think most people would already be like, no, go away, woman. I'm not going to pay for your petrol, you random stranger. How can you have the audacity to do that? Now, that's the stuff they do on their marketing. She gets a lot of attention on her, and I think that might be part of it. I think what you referred to earlier when she was describing how to get the trips, and also apartments, not just the luxury of the trips they got paying, but actually got buying an apartment and buying a car. This is something that you do see a lot more in, I think, in Russia and Ukraine amongst the very high level kind of gold digger types than probably you're aware of. And that obviously they have a different set of techniques to manipulate you into doing. So you definitely have to be careful and just be aware that a lot of women take training on this. How to extract resources from men. It's not just in English when I did School of Affluence and a base gold digging school, which claims not a gold digging school because they're providing some sort of elegance. But this is also, when we dig down to probably byguzhanka, actually just doing the same. It seems to be interesting that Anna Bey was actually born in the Soviet Union at the time, and she has a Russian mother, that she says that this kind of attitude is still in her. It's not all women here, but just you have to be careful. Obviously, these ridiculous examples with the marketing techniques at the petrol station, you're probably not going to fall for that. Well, you might with the groceries just think, oh, she just lost it. It's just a beggar scam. That's all it is. So just be aware of it. It hasn't come up. I haven't actually seen that yet here, but now even I'm aware of it. So there are women here who are friends of girlfriends of mine, who my girlfriends tell me they do own apartments that some foreign guy bought for them, and they meet the guy very randomly, very occasionally, basically because he pays them, and yeah, that is a gold digger. Well, you can say definitely some sort of sugar daddy, sugar babe relationship. If that's what you want, go for it. Absolutely no problem with that. But just be aware what it is if you are leading with money in that way, that you're offering to buy something. You're probably not going to get a strong emotional attachment in return. And if your money runs out, don't expect the woman to be around, obviously, since that's how you lured her in, and you're basically paying her in some way to stay around with you, or at least give you the time when you come here, say if it's in Ukraine. Now, how you might meet a type of byguzhanka here in Odessa, which I have seen, and it is a little bit similar actually to the shopping example, is outside of big touristic nightclubs. I've often seen young hotties standing there with this kind of face, looking for foreign guys, saying, oh, can you pay for me to get in? Because I don't have money, or make up some excuse. And of course they find some guys. In the case I particularly remember that stands out for me, the guys were Turkish, and they immediately paid for, it was probably about 10 to 15 US dollars to get into Ibiza Club. It was in Arcadia. And then I saw the girls later on, because there was two of them, and they were not with those Turkish guys, so I guess it's likely they just used them for entrance. And really, if someone is asking at the entrance to buy them in, you're probably not going to be worth your investment of your 15, 30 bucks. And you're also creating an incentive for women to just stand out and beg for men to pay their entrance, which is obviously not the best incentive in general. So that's one I have actually seen that is maybe not as audacious as the shopping scam and doing it every day. I mean, eventually they'll probably put up signs with your face if you're constantly begging and knowing the other customers, I would imagine. Seems ridiculous, but this is what they do. Yeah. making women outrageous and maybe even a bit stupid by investing your time learning how to do that. So if you do meet a Bajgorzhanka, my advice is tell them to take a hike or ignore them or laugh at them because they are entertaining. It is obviously, unless you get in a situation where you've been manipulated and spending a lot of money on someone, that's not something you want to do or feel comfortable with. Obviously, if you do want to sponsor someone, that's perfectly fine. And sponsor the lifestyle, just understand what that entails and what frame you put on it. And that is something actually that I've been teaching the participants in my new bootcamp that's already started, which is Slavic Seduction Secrets. I've already closed enrollment for the moment, but I will reopen it at some stage in the future. And in order to be considered for that, because I only allow my loyal followers to join it, you have to be on my mailing list, and there is a link below in the description to this video where you can sign up. You send me your email address so that you're on that email mailing list, and in return I'm still going to give you my checklist for the 5 biggest mistakes made by foreign guys when they come here to Eastern Europe and they go on dates with Slavic women. Definitely something you want to get anyways. If you don't have that, then it's for free, so in exchange for being on the mailing list. And at some stage pretty soon I'm going to open that up again, but that's actually what I've been going into. We have stuff like one of the 7 secrets is to actually test a girl whether she's a good fit for you for a long-term relationship. So we have the gold digger test, which is obviously very relevant to this video. Now, probably you're not going to need it for these extreme examples with the Bajgorzhanki, but Bajgorzhanki are not just focusing on that. I think that is part of their just extreme marketing, get attention. They probably have a lot more subtle techniques that they're teaching the women, and you need to be able to test for that if you were trying to avoid a gold digger, that is. Of course, if you want a gold digger, you're fine with just paying for someone, then you don't need to worry, you know what you're getting. But if that's what you're trying to avoid, then obviously this is what you want. This is the kind of information that you really need. Also, we're going to say how to create, organize the perfect date, how to lead, how to be assertive. And very, very important for you to understand is also Slavic mentality intelligence, I call it, or SMI, which is a special type of emotional intelligence specific to this region. And actually understanding that took me a lot of time to do. If you want to get in and get this kind of training, I have some kids who've just come by here. So if you want to get in on this training in the meantime, you can, of course, apply for the Czar Experience in person, where basically you will be learning the 7 secrets here in Odessa. It can be in Russia, it can be in Belarus. I'm actually sitting out here on a beautiful summer's evening in Odessa. It's like 30 degrees all the time. So the in-person experience, once you fill out that application form, which is in the description, and I think it's a good fit for us to potentially work together, we'll jump on a short strategy call, and then it could be you. Like, what are you doing next weekend? It could be you here partying on the shores of the Black Sea. We will have a huge, hardcore party experience. We're gonna have a phenomenal time. It's gonna be unforgettable, and I'll also be able to impart the knowledge in the 7 Slavic Seduction Secrets to you in person on top of that. So if you are up for joining me in person and living the Czar Experience for yourself, then definitely go and fill out that application form below, and if it's a good fit for you, we'll be getting back together. That is the end of this video, probably a little bit shorter as a Vodka Vodcast this week than I had on the previous ones. And drop a comment below, obviously, if you have had some experience with Bajgorzhanki or a similar type, maybe either here in Eastern Europe or somewhere else. I will see you very soon in the next video. I'm going to be shooting a series of vodkas in the next couple of days here in Odessa. The weather is just fantastic. Do побачення, до свидания. See you in the very next video.
Czar Experience.